welcome to our Small Business Guide to E-Commerce Masterclass, broadcasting live from International Towers at Barangaroo. I'm Cess Busby, editor of Kochie's Business Builders, and I'm thrilled to have you joining us today. But before we get started, let's take a moment to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land of which we gather today and pay our respects to the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, their elders past, present and emerging. We recognise their continuing connection to the land, waters and culture and extend our respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples watching. So today we're going to take a deep dive into the world of online retail, and we'll be guided on our journey by one of Australia's leading experts, Paul Waddy. Paul is an e-commerce advisor with over 15 years of experience. He's the man behind Paul Waddy Advisory, funny that, because it's his name, and the Learn e-commerce platform. He's also the co-founder of eCom Nation, a leading hub for digital commerce enthusiasts, and the author of Selling Online for Dummies and Shopify for Dummies. He joins us today to share some tools and strategies to help your business thrive in the online landscape. Paul, thank you so much for joining me.
What a great intro. Thanks, Cess. Good to see you again.
Yeah, really good to see you. So, Paul, just a little bit of background for our viewers. Where did your passion for e-commerce come from? Because I also forgot to mention that as well as all the advisory stuff that you work on, you were also the CEO of The Horse.
Yes.
Which is up and running long before like e-commerce became a popular thing, and you were the head of operations at Shopify,
yes,
which is probably one of Australia's biggest retail online success stories. So how did you get into online sales? Where did it come from?
Taking me back now, so my story is I kind of didn't know what I wanted to do during school, and I always thought I'd be a professional cricket player, and that didn't go so well. I had a not as promising career as I thought I would. And I finished school and I had an entrepreneurial desire to start a business. And so I did. When I was 23, pretty young, I started tinkering in wholesale. So I took a few trips to China. I created a men's footwear brand and I wholesaled it everywhere. David Jones in Australia, ASOS in the UK. I was in 200 plus stores. And then I opened retail stores. So I became a traditional retailer with 5 retail stores. In about 2007, I was sort of stuck in this trap a little bit of selling reasonable volumes to wholesale businesses and not getting paid on time. So while I had to fork out a lot of money for bigger orders, I wasn't getting paid on time. And then rents were falling due in big centres and wages were due, and I was under a lot of pressure. So I built an online store and started also selling on eBay and Amazon and Groupon and these sites, just a little tinkering away. And what I liked is that you could, 1, get paid right away, and 2, whereas I always had the worst spots in the retail centres, the best spots were saved for your premium stores, I found that you could level the playing field in e-commerce and hack your way to getting some of this market share back off larger competitors by being smart through things like social media. So I thought, this is a level playing field. I can have a crack here. And so I did. And then went on to, work at, sold that business, went on to be head of operations at Shopify, which grew from $15 million a year to $80 million a year in about 3 years, which was absolutely ridiculous, but so much fun. And I just became addicted to it. The Horse, I went there, and then I started advising other brands, Budgie Smuggler and G'd Up Co. and all these great brands. And I just loved doing it. I had so much fun and decided to make it my career.
Yeah, it's clear that you've got a big passion for it.
I
You
do.
can just see your enthusiasm. But so these days, how crucial is it for a small business to be online?
I think it's essential. And it's retail. Online retail is about 20% of total retail, so it's still small. It's by no means done and dusted. And sometimes small businesses say that to me. They're like, "Oh, it's too late. It's snapped up. We've missed the boat." You haven't. The reality is you can still get a competitive advantage over your competitors if you're smart online. It doesn't matter if you're a shoe repair shop. It doesn't matter if you're a sports store, a beautician. All walks of life can have a go at e-commerce. And I think just looking at my kids and the way that they can use an iPad at 4 years old tells me that we've got to get it, we have to be in e-commerce. Otherwise, we're going to just be aged out of this whole business process. So no time for burying our heads in the sand. It's upon us, and it's getting stronger, so we've got to be in it.
Yeah, so it's one of the benefits then that you are going to be taking your business to where customers are.
Yeah, because if you think about Google, you don't use the yellow pages anymore. You Google something. You don't even search. You Google something. So that's where the customers are. So you have customers actively searching for plumbers in your local area, electricians in your, beauticians, hairdressers, barbers. You have people searching. It makes absolute sense that we put our websites in front of those people to say, hey, what about us? And then using things like, I think barbers are using social. You think, how can barbers use digital marketing or e-commerce? I think barbers are some of the most creative people on TikTok and Instagram. So you name it, there's a space for it in e-commerce somewhere.
And so what are some of the benefits that, say, a traditional brick and mortar seller can expect from transitioning to online?
Well, generally in my experience, and I was a retailer, brick and mortar retailer, and a wholesaler, the profit margins are better in this version of D2C commerce. You have to run your business well and lean like you do always, but I'll give you a quick example. When I was running retail stores, it was common for more than 20%, if not 30% of my monthly sales to go into staffing. Now, the average e-commerce business, you can do that on 10, 9, 8%. So straight away, it's a much leaner business. Of course, you need to spend on marketing, but still adding up marketing, adding up freight, you can run that whole business, that whole e-commerce business on less than 30% of your revenue comfortably. And in my experience, that leaves you with a bigger profit than the traditional, retail and wholesale models.
Yeah. So what about everybody's looking for ways to make more money at the moment? The economy's kind of got everyone in a stranglehold. We're all like, how can we make some more cash? So what are some ways, if maybe I don't actually have a side hustle, is something like drop shipping, would that be a good way to kind of turn over some extra cash?
The thing about drop shipping is harder than it has been in the past because we've had the introduction of basically Chinese manufacturers selling directly to our markets. So I'm talking about Temu, for example. And so what's happened there is that Chinese manufacturers, their capacity reduced. And so in order to keep them busy, they're starting to sell D2C. So I've done drop shipping and had a great time. The margins are low, so your gross profit margins are very skinny, 20 to 30%. And I just said you need about 30% to run your business. So you've got to do tremendous volume to be a drop shipper. It can work, but you've got to be pumping through a lot of volume. However, if you're thinking about dipping your toe in, what a great way to start because the costs are low and you always make mistakes in your first business. So I actually think it's a great training ground for everybody to dip their toe in, make your mistakes for free, and then maybe make a few dollars as well. But I think eventually you pivot towards a proper e-commerce business where you're maybe holding a bit of stock and so on.
Yeah. So what about, I do have a side hustle, it's going pretty well. What would the process be of, like setting up to sell online?
Pretty easy. Barriers to entry are quite low. So I'm biased because I wrote Shopify for Dummies, but I would head over to Shopify, probably take my course, and build your own store. So if you had $15,000 to build a website, an agency will take that off you. If you have $1,000 or $500 and you want to do it yourself, you can do it. And how you can do it is just head over to shopify.com, start a trial, free trial, and start designing. Now, they have AI tools there which do crazy things like do photo shoots for you. So let's say that I was selling, this jacket, and I had nice jackets that I was making at home or whatever, and I didn't have the money for a photo shoot. I could go onto Shopify, take a photo on my iPhone, and Shopify will help me using AI edit it to look as good as any photo shoot that I could do spending thousands and thousands of dollars. So there's so many hacks. I would head over to Shopify, start building your store. You can get a free theme, which means that essentially you've got a really beautiful looking shop front without spending anything. There's apps that you can bolt on for email marketing and so on. But the first place is to head over to Shopify, read my book, take my course, and start building. Have fun.
Nice
plug. Yeah. You got to hustle.
So, would you say product listings and how you manage how your product listing looks on your store is so pivotal to success? Yeah,
from that point of view, e-commerce is no different to traditional retail where we visually merchandise our stores. And you have this, you sometimes have conflicting schools of thought, right? Some retailers always want to put their slowest moving stock in the shop window in the hope that it moves. My saying is that a dog is always a dog and that the cream finds its way to the top and you always put your best foot forward. Nonetheless, an online shopper, and this is a little bit of a scary statistic, but an online shopper on average won't even click once on your site. So 50% will bounce, meaning they'll hit your site and not even click once. So you've got 3-4 seconds to grab their attention. So you've got to put your best foot forward. And as a little rule for people when you're designing your store, you want to try and get to any page on your website in no more than 3, maybe 4 clicks. If you're asking someone to click that page, go there, scroll there, you've already lost them.
Yeah, you're going to lose them on the journey.
Yeah.
So what would your advice be then if you're saying the majority of people just bounce from your site without purchase? How can you make your site more sticky? How can you make the products like so enticing that they are going to want to click and then purchase?
Well, the first thing is to optimize your landing page. And the landing page is the page that if someone clicks on your ad or your Google search term or whatever, or your email, the page that they go is the landing page. Sometimes that's your homepage. Now, if that's your homepage, not too much fluff, kind of, a beautiful photo is fine, but very clearly above the fold, which is an old media term, imagine your newspaper folded and the above the fold content is the cream because people don't turn it around or they don't open it up. So above the fold is before you have to scroll. That's your prime real estate. So there you kind of have to say, what's special about your brand? So if I was selling these jackets, what I wouldn't have on that page is like, cool jackets, $99. No, I want my selling point, handmade in Australia, organic cotton, your unique selling points, front and center. We deliver free, money back guarantee. You've got to hit home with those strong USPs straight away. If you're selling a fancy product, like let's say you've invented a Theragun, that massage gun, one product, you might not even send them to the homepage. You might have just sending them to the product page where you've got great descriptive images and interviews and reviews on the product. So try and send them to the money page, your most enticing page on the website. And for God's sake, make it enticing. No fluff. It's got to be straight to the point.
Is that one of the most common mistakes? Like there's too much fluffy stuff going on. There's not enough directness.
Absolutely. I mean, think about shopping on Amazon. Maybe the ugliest site on the planet, but the biggest. So I'm not going to say, if you're selling women's fashion, of course you need to have a beautiful site. But just take a leaf out of Amazon's book. When in doubt, look at what Amazon do. Really clear product descriptions. Its emphasis is on clarity and technical information on products and delivery times. You're not writing the next great novel. You're just trying to sell a product. Get really to the point, and you don't have to overcook the design elements. It's got to look nice, but function and information is as important as aesthetics.
Yeah. And in terms of Amazon, what are your thoughts on being on marketplaces?
Yeah, I think it's a good way for a brand to start. The Iconic is if you're selling beauty or fashion, that's a great place to start because assuming you've got a decent product, you're going to get sales. And let's be honest, the hardest part of this whole journey is making your first sale. And so if you can get onto Amazon, which is a great platform in Australia now, you can get onto the Iconic, you can get onto Catch. There's so many Maya has a marketplace, David Jones, Barbecues Galore, Bunnings has a marketplace, Baby Bunting has a marketplace. So how can you get your product in front of a lot of people, when you don't have a big marketing budget, absolutely start on marketplaces. Big W, Harvey Norman, they've all got them. Some of my clients are still selling on 50 to 60 marketplaces as well as their own store.
Yeah.
Eventually you might pull back off a couple, but as a way of getting some early sales through the door, marketplaces is a great strategy.
And you mentioned Shopify. You're a big fan of Shopify. You wrote the book on Shopify, so we all know your love for Shopify.
Yeah.
But what should business owners be looking for when they're looking to a platform for setting up their online store and for their business? What would you say they need to look at? And is it different depending on the type of business and what you're selling?
It is, yeah, absolutely. So a service-based business might prefer Wix, Wix as a platform, which I used for my first professional website. Not great, in my opinion, for selling products. If you're selling products, you would use Shopify. If you're selling coaching, as I do, I use Kajabi because it's a better platform for coaching and memberships.
Yeah.
So absolutely, and what you don't do is just go for the cheapest, because what we find is, particularly people selling products, they say, they'll come to our marketing agency, eCommerce, and they'll say, yeah, we're on Wix or we're on WooCommerce, and you're like, you're going to come across to Shopify at some point because there's more apps. You can do it yourself. You don't need a developer. So don't choose based on price. They're all pretty affordable, if I'm honest. They're all low cost. I would be looking for, again, the right platform for what you're selling. Selling a service, Kajabi, maybe school. Selling a product, definitely Shopify. Just building a nice, services-based website, maybe Wix. So it's not one size fits all, but overwhelmingly you want to be able to change things yourself. So look at the functionality. If you can understand the instructional videos, if you can understand how to create a banner, create a product, that's a big advantage, because what you don't want to do is be dependent on a developer. Gone are the days, and I own a marketing agency, gone are the days where somebody starting a small business online should be spending $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 on a website. You can do it yourself. And if you want to go through an agency, that's fine. You shouldn't be paying anywhere near those big dollars anymore.
Yeah, things have come a very long way since those early days.
They have.
You did need that expertise 15 years ago, but now,
my first website was $30,000 or something. When I started thinking I was a big businessman, what I can build for free now is much better than that website. But that's the lesson, and that's why I get to tell people so you don't make the same mistakes.
So when I'm setting up my online store, are there things I need to avoid? What are the pitfalls, the common mistakes that people make?
Well, I think overcomplicating things. There's a lot of shiny objects in e-commerce. There's AI, and I love AI, but you don't need it right now. There's loyalty programs. There's, oh my goodness, there's so many things. Okay, so what you've got to remember is that when you go into e-commerce, it's not about how great your website is or how technical you are. At the end of the day, it's still retail or service. You have to have something great that people want to pay for. And so what the big mistake is, simply people listening to this might just say, yeah, great, I'm starting an online store. I'm going to get these glasses and I'm going to... No, you still need a compelling product and a compelling story and a brand. No different to selling at the markets, no different to... You've got to find a product that people want to buy. So the first mistake is people just skipping that whole process and going straight to the website saying, I'm ready, like Homer Simpson, can I get paid now? I'm on the internet. But it doesn't start like that. It starts with a great idea. And I love when I hear, in my course, I've got people, oh, Paul, do you mind if I ask you, this is my idea. I love that. I love hearing about the idea before I hear about the website. Anyone can build a website. It's easy. Anyone can run Facebook ads. It's not hard. Start with a great idea and a good profit margin on the idea, at least 70% margin on the products. And then the rest can be taken care of. But anybody can do that. So your job is to do what other people can't and find that product that's special. The rest is quite straightforward.
Now, I'd like to jump back for a sec because we've had a question come through from Lucy, and it's regarding the different platforms. Currently, she's on WooCommerce, and she's saying, would there be a benefit to moving to Shopify?
Yeah, there will be heaps of benefits to moving to Shopify. overwhelmingly, WooCommerce is a really good platform to start out. But what I typically see with WooCommerce is that a lot of them migrate to Shopify because there's a lot more apps and features and functionality. As an example, the analytics on WooCommerce is a little bit limited. I've got 30 to 40 to 50 different reports in Shopify, from sell-through reports on products to profitability reports. My accountant loves it because it's got everything under the sun to make better decisions out of the box. You've got the ability to create purchase orders in Shopify and manage your inventory from start to finish. But it's things like, if you want to use Klaviyo, which is a great email marketing platform, I'm up and running in 5 minutes on Shopify because there's an app store the same way we use our iPhone. You download it, you integrate it, and you're going. So simply you're going to be, let's say you wanted a bit of AI on your website. Now, you're going to have 6 or 7 options in the Shopify app store that automatically uses AI to merchandise your best products to the front. You can't do that easily in WooCommerce. At that point, you're calling a developer in WooCommerce, which you then start to lose the benefits, or which is typically cost, typically price. So you're going to end up coming across to Shopify. That's my experience. It's got so many DIY features. I've got brands that I work with doing $50 million a year through Shopify, and not one single developer on the books because they're still in there doing it themselves and dragging and dropping and uploading apps and so on. So if you want a store that competes with the big players, JB Hi-Fi's on Shopify, Gymshark's on Shopify, get on Shopify and you can scale up your features really, really quickly. The other thing is Shopify is the fastest growing platform. So every tech partner out there is doing their best to be easily integrated. So you can be pretty sure if there's great tech out there being developed, they're developing it with Shopify or for Shopify in some way.
Yeah, because you want those tech stacks to be able to talk to each
100%.
other. Otherwise, where's the visibility?
That's what you get with Shopify. Is just click, install. Yep, if you need some customer service, that might happen. But you just start to lose a little bit of that flexibility in WooCommerce. Great platform, WooCommerce. But in my experience, a lot of the brands that I see come across to Shopify just to be able to do a little bit more cool stuff with their store.
So before we took that little detour in Shopify land, you were talking about you're much more interested in, you don't want to hear about, the website, you want to hear about the product and the why and why they're doing what they're doing and what the product is, and get excited about that. But the same token, that is also what a customer wants, isn't it?
Yeah.
So how do we make sure that that story is getting across to our customers and our potential customers? How do we get seen when there's such a massive competitive landscape in the online shopping space?
That's a great question. And the mistake is that too many people go into e-commerce and just run Facebook ads. And they say, that's enough, I'm here, I'm on Facebook, but yeah, so is everybody else. And that's an auction system. So you quickly run out of money, paying $1, $2, $3 a click with a 2% conversion rate. And you sort of think, I need $20,000 to make 9 sales. And the numbers don't stack up. So do the numbers is the first step. But recently I heard from a colleague something really interesting, which is that to get your brand out there, you need about 10 different touch points. I do that for my personal thing. I'm here doing this, I do Facebook, I do Instagram, I do TikTok. That is how you get into the conversation. So your first port of call is not to get into a consumer's wallet. It's to get into the conversation first. And you don't do that through one channel. How do you do that? Well, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, podcasts. I'm serious when I say about 10 different touch points, as close to 10 as you can. If you have 2 or 3, it's just simply not enough. Now, interesting, everyone leans towards Facebook or Meta. Interesting stat that I read the other day from Vogue Business, I think, that Gen Z prefers YouTube to TikTok. YouTube is still the biggest platform. It's still the most viewed, but hardly anybody in e-commerce touches it. They're like, oh, YouTube, really? Like, absolutely. Let's turn the camera on. Let's take people on a journey. Let's start a podcast, a vlog. Let's teach people how to use our product. So we need to be covering all bases. If I'm in the business of teaching e-commerce, I can't just be on Instagram saying, hey, follow me. I need to be doing podcasts and teaching and conferences and physical activations, and it's getting really, really busy. So my advice is to lean out of Facebook and so on for just a second. And I say that you need it, but I just say that because people are too dependent on it. And look at your overall strategy, your flywheel. Do you have about 10 touch points where your customer's going to go, oh yeah, I've seen them. Oh yeah, there they are again. Oh, there they are again. They are there. Coca-Cola doesn't, say, here's our product, buy it. They don't just have vending machines. They have billboards. They have sponsorships. They have clever campaigns. They sponsor music. It's a combined and integrated approach. So it's a lot of work, but aim for that 10 touch points with your brand.
So how important is it as well for you to kind of own the space yourself, if you know what I mean? It's like, you talk about Facebook, and a few years ago when Facebook turned off all of the news stuff and accidentally turned off a whole bunch of small businesses and essential services at the same time, and everyone was like, oh my God, like my business gone.
Yep.
What can we do to make sure that we're actually owning our brand and our reputation and getting the brand out there ourselves rather than being reliant on third party?
I'm so glad you raised that, because I say to brands all the time, and I keep harping on about it, but there's an over-dependency on Facebook, and it's getting harder to make money on Facebook. And I always say, well, what if Zuckerberg has a meltdown and just pulls the plug out of Facebook? People are, it's not going to happen. TikTok's about to be banned in the US, potentially. It's on that, it's on that path.
Really?
Yeah, they've been talking about it for a while. Now it's escalating. There's a good chance it could be banned unless it's sold to a non-Chinese company. Now, that's huge risk. So for me, why would I have all my eggs in that one basket? It just comes back to owning your audience, owning your channel. By the way, your own audience means like your SMS subscribers, your newsletter subscribers, your people, your tribe. They always spend more with you than someone that comes in cold off Facebook anyway. So the best brands that I see build communities. Proud Poppy, 20,000 organic Facebook members just talking about their love of the brand. G'd Up, it's the same thing. They build communities. It just so happens that they have products, but they have focus on community. So that's a great example. I mean, what would your business do if Facebook had the plug pulled out overnight? There'd be a lot of people that would lose a lot of money instantly. And that just comes back to having a multi-pronged approach. It could be TikTok, YouTube, conferences, speaking seminars, gifting with influencers, the whole thing. It all needs to happen. And then really driving towards sales, of course, but driving towards building your own database. Because if Facebook goes off, you've still got 20,000 people you can email, 10,000 people you can SMS. And if you were to sell your business, one of the first questions they would ask, how big's your database? So it's important to drive that community. Yeah,
so important. We've got quite a few more questions that have come through, so I might get through a few of them, if that's okay. Mandy's asking, I take appointments on my website for my brick and mortar beautician store. Mandy, you should have told us the name of your brick and mortar beautician store, and I would have given it a shout out.
Like that.
So I've tried a couple of booking platforms, but I haven't loved them. Do you have any recommendations that you like?
It's a hard one because I'm kind of in that space, so what was the name?
Mandy.
Okay, so Mandy, what you're actually trying to do, right, is not sell. You're trying to do lead gen. Same as me, by the way. When I sell a course, I don't say, hey, buy my course. You take them on a journey. And so that journey is kind of, the booking platform is actually not super relevant. It's what you do before the booking platform. You can take bookings on just about any site that's out there. Kajabi is one that I use because it's geared towards education. The booking is not really the issue, it's the lead gen before. So Mandy, let's say you're me and I'm not a beautician, but I'm teaching about e-commerce to then get somebody in to buy my course. It's the same thing that you're trying to do. Your first job is to position yourself as an expert and not to sell. My motto, I never sell, I inform. I give you information. You'll find your way through my funnel. Don't worry, I've got a strategy for that. But your challenge is the same, Mandy. So you're actually out there not saying, brow wax $20, whatever. No. You're positioning yourself as the authority in your field. And a little trick for you is to kind of offer a free carrot. So a lot of lead gen businesses what they don't want, forget the sale for a minute. They want the email, or they want the sign up, or they want the booking. So what can you give in exchange for an email or a booking form or a consult, little trick is to do like a 10-minute consult. It takes no time. You call it a consult. It's a strategy call. You know, come onto my site, book a 10-minute call. Depending on the value that Mandy's selling, you then use that 10-minute call to give a little bit of information and try to lock them into something a little bit bigger. So I guess the booking platform, Mandy, specific to beauty, and there's a lot of beauticians that are in my course, and I've spoken to Stephen Khalil, who does wedding dresses. I've spoken to Yvette Alight, like a lot of people in beauty. The booking page is not really the issue. It's the funnel. It's how do you get people, a wide net of people to come down to that booking page. The conversion rate on your booking page, is it low? I'm not sure what it is. It's probably more about filling people onto that page. So your strategy is to say, I'm not selling anything. I'm giving you free information. Barbers do this well. Here's how to style your lashes. Here's a trick to doing your own lashes at home. Here's a trick. For you, Mandy, I give away magic pills in everything I do, but not enough that they can do it themselves. So your idea is a few magic pills here. Oh, I did this. Mandy told me to do this. Great. She's a great follow. I'm going to follow Mandy. And then eventually they're going to come and see what you're all about. Not really about the booking page. I can't recommend a specific one for you, Mandy, but it's about that journey and how people get aware of what you're doing, Mandy. Your job is not to sell. Your job is to show people that Mandy is the expert here, guys. Take my word for it. They'll find their way to your booking page if you funnel them through it nicely.
Nice. That's good advice. So we've got a question from Sue here. She says, Shopify is amazing. There's a caveat though.
But it's terrible.
Yes, but I'm still struggling to get traffic. The product's amazing, but I just need to work out the best place to do ads. Do you have any tips to get this right?
Yeah, I mean, traffic is, you can have the best website in the world. If you've got no traffic, then it doesn't matter. And I just want to give you a quick example of that. So let's say we're in women's fashion. A good conversion rate is 2%. That means if I get 100 visitors, I'll get 2 sales. Think about that for a second. And let's say the average order value is $100. That's $200 from 100 visits. Now, if you've paid $2 per click on Facebook to get that 100 visits, then you've paid $200 to get $200. Minus COGS, you've lost money on that. So we do need a large volume of traffic. So I forgot her name.
Sue,
you need a lot of traffic. Depending on what you're in, the best conversion rates out there are like 4 or 5%. New business, 1 to 2%. Think about that. It's like, oh my gosh, I need 100 visitors to do 2 sales. So start thinking about that to give yourself a traffic target. You should be aiming for 50% of your traffic to be organic, which is free, non-paid, and 50% to be paid, right? Facebook, Google ads, and so on. If you're sitting at a ratio of 60 to 70 to 80% of your traffic being paid, there's a fair chance you'll lose money. So how do you get traffic? Yes, you will use Facebook, for sure. You will use Google search, probably. If you're a plumber, no Facebook initially, just Google search, because people are searching for a plumber in my area. If you're trying to build awareness, let's say in beauty or fashion, probably no Google search. You're trying to just build brand. Here we are, we're here, we're following. So Facebook or Google to start, probably not both. And then going back to our 10 touch points. Do you have 10 touch points? You need 10 touch points roughly to get you the traffic. Do you have a vlog? Do you have a TikTok channel? Do you have a YouTube channel? You need all of these things. These all matter. We need to be super busy in driving our traffic. And just remembering that it's not about getting in the wallet, it's about getting in the conversation. And at the end of the day, me saying to you, but why would I follow you? What's interesting? Let's think about why people use social media. Not to be sold to. They use social media to be informed and entertained. So if I'm following you, how are you doing those things? Back to what I said about Mandy. Selling is secondary. How are you entertaining or informing me, teaching me something? That's how you get interest, and then that interest flows on to traffic. So 10 touch points, be very, very busy and entertain and inform. Selling, almost at the back of, there's a time and a place for selling. The top of the funnel, which is where people learn about you, is not the time to sell. That's the time to teach, inform, be funny, whatever your thing is. But lots of channels and selling in the back of your mind at this stage.
I've got another question from She's asking, how do I use Pinterest to drive more traffic sales to my website? So I'm assuming she's maybe something crafty or arty or...
Yeah. Look, Pinterest is good for homewares. It's good for barbers. It's good for crafts. It's good for things like architects and so on. To be blunt, it's not great for other products. You can get very cheap traffic. So if you want to pay for Pinterest ads, it's a very cost-effective way of, on a very low cost per click, a way of driving traffic. But again, I never start anything paid. I always start organic. The key to Pinterest or anything really is it's got to be the right channel for you. So if you are in arts and crafts or homewares, great, that's a good channel for you. But so is TikTok, so is YouTube. I've got a lady doing my course in New York who has a Hampton style business, and she doesn't like showing her face on Instagram. So we've decided that she's going to do a little thing where on the weekends she goes on YouTube and she goes around to flea markets and she sort of shows people what she's found in flea markets. That's a really clever strategy. It doesn't matter if it's Pinterest, doesn't matter if it's TikTok, be consistent. If you're going to use any of those channels, I need you to post once a day minimum for 30 days. If you post once a week, you won't grow. Once every 3 days, you won't grow. If you post once a day for 30 days, what you have after the end of 30 days is growth, 1, and 2, 30 days worth of data to say that worked, that didn't, that worked, that didn't, that worked, I'm going to do more of that. Forget the likes, don't stress about the engagement. We've all got to start somewhere. Consistency actually is the key to most things in life, not just about social media. You want to get healthy, lose weight, it's consistency. The same with Pinterest, the same with TikTok, the same with Instagram. Be consistent.
Yeah, like that saying about the difference between me and an expert is 10,000 hours, basically.
Yeah. Well, that's 100% right. Yeah. I love that.
So in terms of social, we've talked quite a bit about it. What would you recommend people do to kind of leverage social for sales? Because, there's like, you can buy off Insta now, you can buy off TikTok, you can use them as an actual e-commerce platform.
You can. And the data on the Gen Z again is that actually they use TikTok to search for things. So they're not just browsing, whatever, they're actually searching for trends, they're searching for products, they trust the algorithm, they trust that the algorithm will teach them what's cool. What's interesting is they don't like the brands to show them what's cool. And brands do this. Brands say, buy this jacket because I look great and it's really good and trust me. Trust me, I'm a salesperson. They don't want that. Interestingly as well, this data from Vogue Business showed that they also don't want celebrities telling them what's cool. They want influencers. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody here, but whatever the heck an influencer is, that's who they want to tell them what's cool and what's not cool. So again, it really comes down to not worrying about selling. If you're a clothing brand, what do you need right now? You need traffic, sure, but you need jackets on backs, dresses on bodies, hats on heads. You need your product on people. That's what you need. That's how you become a thing. You don't become a thing because people say, I say, buy this jacket, it's really good. You see two of your friends wearing this jacket and you're like, hey, where did you get that? And then, oh my gosh, there's somebody else wearing it. I saw someone post about that on Instagram. July do that really well, the luggage business on TikTok. The reject shop does it really well on TikTok. So it's just about getting your product out there, seeding. If you've got a product that's, you've got a lot of stock, which you probably do starting out, get it out on people. Don't be afraid to seed it out. Your product needs to be seen on lots and lots of people. People don't really like being sold to. Let's just think about the marketing funnel, right? Top of the funnel, awareness. Who are you? What's your brand about? That's interesting. Then, middle of the funnel, they've engaged. They've liked something. They've followed you. They've signed up. Bottom of the funnel, they're ready to buy. I'm interested now. I need a jacket. It's getting cold. I'm interested. That process can take 30, 70, 90 days. It doesn't happen like that. So if we're running ads that says jacket, $99, it doesn't work. That's bottom of the funnel. But if you're starting out, you need top of funnel. You need awareness and then take people through that journey. How do you get awareness? Get lots of people reviewing your product, lots of people wearing your product. I'm not talking about major celebrities. I'm just talking about lots of people out there posting on social media saying, just got this jacket. It's really cool, comfortable. I love it. So your job is awareness. Again, just pull back a little bit from sales and focus on that top of funnel.
So in terms of that building brand awareness piece, how can a small business do that on a budget?
Use your strength, which is probably going to be your product or service initially. So what I mean by that is, if you start a business and you're doing t-shirts and your margin is 70% and the t-shirts have cost you $10 and you've had to order 100 of each, you're not going to sell 100 of each super quick. So you actually need to move through that inventory a little bit. So what I would do is I would be quite aggressive with approaching 20 to 30 influencers per week and saying, hey, can I give you a t-shirt in exchange for a review? Can I give you a t-shirt in exchange for a video of you wearing the t-shirt? Because what you don't have as a new business is any exposure, anybody seeing your product anywhere. Now, your strength is your product. Get your product out there. That's actually going to be cheaper than taking out Facebook ad. If you were to try and get 1,000 viewers using Facebook, I'm telling you, it would be much cheaper to dish out 15 t-shirts and get those 15 people posting on those channels. So I would lean into your product, or if you're a service-based business like Mandy was, or like I am, lean into your strength, which is your expertise. I'm going to spread the word about e-commerce. I'm going to spread the word about the best way to do your lashes or whatever it might be. So use your strength. Don't be dipping into your wallet all the time, and don't think that throwing money at advertising is the answer. It almost never is.
And so we've talked about how people are getting to us through this, the top of the funnel, the brand awareness, gradually getting to a sale, the different platforms that they're coming from to get to our actual store. How important then is making sure that everything is optimized for mobile?
Yeah, it's so important. And it's funny, most brands still don't do it. You should always be checking your site design in mobile. So like if you're using Shopify or Wix, or most of those platforms will allow you just to click a button and look at it in mobile. More than 50% of visitors to your website are going to be from mobile. Interesting though, that the higher conversion rate is still on desktop. So what I understand by that is people are probably browsing at home, browsing on the way to work, on the way back, making a little note, wish listing it, and then coming back to take their time when they get home at night and purchasing in the evening on their desktop. But everything has to be mobile optimized these days. There's a mobile commerce, you mentioned earlier that people are buying off TikTok, buying off Instagram. We still need desktop sites, but you absolutely should be designing everything with mobile front of mind. If you do videos, and I absolutely recommend that if you can do a video on something, you should, because video is more engaging than static. You need to make sure that it's shot in a portrait style, ready to be uploaded to Instagram or to TikTok. And slightly digressing, but if you're doing a video, you need to have a really strong hook. And they talk about you've got 3 seconds, and you'll see in some of my videos, I say, you're doing e-commerce wrong. I want you to stop. I want you to stop scrolling and go, what's this guy on about? And then obviously an engaging body, and then a clear call to action. Back to Mandy. If you do a video on, a client video where you're styling someone's, I don't know if that's the right word, but doing someone's beauty routine, you're doing them up beautifully, you should be recording that. Every one of your clients, do you mind if I record you? Do you mind if I record you? And then what you're doing, posting that on socials, and at the end, that's your call to action, Mandy, is to say, sign up, click here for a booking. Don't post anything unless there's no call to action at the end. What do you want them to do at the end? That's really important. Strong hook, bold statement, the thumb stopper, why should I stop? Engaging body that, if you can, makes them hold on to the end. Like, wait for the big reveal at the end. At the end, I'm going to show you something special. And then at the end, the big reveal, call to action. Sign up now for 10% off. Early access to our book a free strategy session. It's a nice little framework to it.
Now, we're nearly out of time. So probably just one more question from me would be around shopping cart abandonment, because that just must be the pain of every small business owner who has an online store, just seeing, there was a sale, almost. How can we put an end to that? What's the key?
I used to I could watch them in the journey, and you'd be like, they're in the checkout, and then they'd drop off. You're going to see this a bit at the moment, because we are in a tough economic climate, right? What you see is a lot of people adding to cart. In fact, almost no decline in add to carts, but you see a drop off in conversions because when it comes time to paying the money, people are just like, oh, so the intent is kind of still there, but it's like the bank balance
the
is
gas bill.
Yeah, they're like, oh, pay the utilities or keep the lights on today. So you're gonna see that. My advice is like, if you're on Shopify, they've just rolled out one-page checkout, for instance, which is just make your checkout simple. Just make it really simple. Don't ask. I like to have a guest checkout. Just make it easy. Make it, yeah, I want the data, I want the email and so on, but just make it super easy. Payment options, you've got to be taking Google Pay, Apple Pay. You've got to have easy payment options. If you're selling overseas, you've got to have the local currency. Nice, clean, simple one-page checkout. By all means, please display your shipping prices and times on the checkout so that no one's getting to the checkout and going, yeah, but when do I get it? Well, hang on, I didn't know it was going to be $19 for, So if you see a lot of people abandoning your checkout, typically shipping prices, shipping times, or payment issues. They don't have PayPal or they don't have Afterpay or whatever. So they're the kind of rules for the checkout. One page or at least simple checkout. Make sure your shipping offering is really tight and competitive and displayed clearly along with your shipping times and just good payment options.
Yeah, because the worst thing is when you get to the end and you're like, $25?
Yeah,
no!
You actually
I'm
feel
not
angry.
paying that to get from Bendigo to here.
Exactly. That's probably the leading reason that people drop off is like, hang on, that shipping's terrible.
Yeah.
So good shipping offer and make it clear throughout your website so it's not hidden because that feels a bit sneaky.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Paul.
You're welcome.
You've been great. If you've enjoyed today's masterclass, we've hosted a whole bunch of them already. You can find out about them. A recent one that we had was with Kochie and Del Curry about how to keep your business costs under control. So that's probably a good one to dive into. The link will be in the chat box if you're online now. Otherwise, just head back to this page. We've got our other masterclasses on the bottom of the page. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Sess.
If you want to find out more about Paul and how he can help your business, well then head to paulwaddy.com. And if you're looking for the latest small business news and advice and inspiration, then head to kochiesbusinessbuilders.com.au. Hope you enjoyed our masterclass today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sess Busby. See you next time.